The Senate will now be called to order. I'd like to start off today with a land acknowledgement. As we gather for this meeting, physically dispersed and virtually constructed, let us take a moment to reflect the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we do our business today. Dr. Mark Rose. And since this meeting is being held online, one land acknowledgement can't encompass the richness of our distribution across the US and the globe. But since ASG is a body under the University of San Diego, I would like to share the land acknowledgement that is used at USD. And I also invite you all today to consider your own position with regard to the land that you find yourself. I want to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional and unceded territory of the Peña Nation. I want to pay respect to the citizens of the Peña Nation, both past and present, and their continuing relationship to their ancestral lands. Thank you. The Clerk of Senate will now take roll.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Okay, well, hello everyone. Happy Thursday. One more day till break. But yeah, hope all is going well. Okay, so to start us off, AJ Armienta.
I'm AJ's proxy for today.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. And then for the proxies, just remember to make sure to put your emails. That way you can get your Grubhub credits. So yeah. Okay, thank you again. Alana Del Torre.
Here.
Thank you. Alexa Andrade.
Here.
Thanks. Angela Tharp.
Here.
Thank you. Okay. Benjamin Tebow.
Here.
Great. Brooke Powell.
Here.
Wonderful. Cecilia Baron.
Here.
Thank you. Daniela Peña.
Here.
Okay. Elena Cruz.
Here.
Thank you. Ezra Wheeler.
Here.
Wonderful. Fantasy Bias.
Present.
Wonderful. Lauren Fetes.
Here.
Thank you. Madeline Wu.
Here.
Okay. Max Donahoe.
Here.
Okay. Megan Womack.
Here.
Mia Soto.
Here.
Thank you. Sabrina Mendoza.
Here.
Thank you. Sean Kenny.
Here.
Okay. Thomas Riley.
Here.
And then Tiana Fee.
Here.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item is approval of today's agenda. Are there any motions? Lauren?
I move to approve today's agenda.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion on the floor having been seconded to approve today's agenda. Sabrina, do you have?
Can I amend today's agenda? Can we please add the opportunity for the counseling center to speak to during Senate just about resources they provide after honoring Haley?
Parliamentarian, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's already a motion on the floor having been seconded, correct? So can we make a subsidiary motion, or does that have to be voted on first?
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Yeah. There's a motion on the floor having been seconded to approve today's agenda already. So does there have to be a subsidiary motion, or do you have to vote on this one first and then have another?
I would say to vote to not approve the agenda and then amend it and then go back to approve it.
Okay, I will say, Sabrina, I don't think you've made a motion yet because I didn't hear you say I move. And I know
I move to amend today's agenda to include the counseling center sharing grief resources.
I think Sarah's saying though that we have to vote on this motion first. Is that right, Sarah? Yes. I will say, Sabrina, is that a counselor from the center is here today and they will be speaking during that line item. So that's already going to be happening. So just for the senator's information, there will be someone speaking about the resources that the counseling center has to offer with regards to grief counseling. Lauren?
If no one seconded that motion, can we just continue with the agenda vote?
Yeah, we can. Okay, so there's a motion on the floor having been seconded to approve today's agenda. Is there any further discussion? Angelo?
No, my bad. I thought I was voting.
Okay, no problem. Fantasy?
Yeah, so hopefully I can do this here, but I guess to clarify, we are going to have a counselor speaking about resources. And so I just hope that is like in place of what Sabrina was trying to say, or if the counseling was for a different reason.
No, to talk about grief counseling.
Okay, thank you.
And then at another Senate meeting, they'll be discussing, at a future Senate meeting, we've invited the Wellness Center to talk about other resources they have outside of the grief counseling. Is there any further discussion on this motion? If not, please cast your votes. Motion passes. The agenda has been approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes from last week's meeting. Are there any motions? Lauren?
I move to approve the minutes from last week's Senate meeting.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor having been seconded to approve last week's Senate meeting's minutes. Is there any further discussion? Sabrina?
Oh, no, sorry. I was trying to vote. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, if there's no further discussion, please cast your votes. Motion passes and minutes have been approved. Thank you all. So I've decided that office hours are going to be set times so that they can be posted on the website for constituents to reach out, along with Calendly links for the senators. So please send the Clerk of Senate, Ari, what office hour times you'll be having, and please send that as soon as possible. And one of our presenters today has an appointment at 1, so I wanted to move a discussion on what you would like to hear President Harris talk about at a future Senate meeting to later, just to allow time for the presenter to speak. AJ, you have the floor.
AJ can be here today, so I'm going to be giving our updates on behalf of the Academics Committee. We only have one, which is that Senator Danny will be presenting later in Senate meeting today about our pass-fail resolution that we're going to be working on as a committee.
Hi, everyone. So we're still working on the ID&E podcast and still looking for guests. So this is a great way to reach out to your constituents. If you think that anyone might be interested, please email Ari. And then earlier this week, I attended Faculty Senate Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Ad Hoc Committee. And one of the things that they discussed is with the upcoming housing forms, including a gender identity question on the forms. And that way Res Life can reach out to students who indicate that they are trans without having the students have to go to them or out themselves in the larger banner system. So hopefully that will be implemented for this next round of housing and continue. And that's all that I have this week. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So in regards to the student org mentorship program, we're currently reaching out to specific returning orgs that we believe would be a good match for mentoring the new orgs that have expressed interest in getting help. And in regards to the student org bylaws, we're still making edits, but the goal is to send it to the judicial branch after spring break for final edits.
Hello, everyone. Same update as last week. I want to thank everyone for the great response we have received so far. I just wanted to share the link again. Thank you. So that anyone who didn't have a chance to respond is able to get their message in to students to answer the question of what a COVID-safe spring break looks like to you. We hope to get this finished up and sent out as soon as possible so that it's available for students to see and to sort of think through their spring break with sort of recommendations from senators. So thank you, everyone.
Hey guys, I don't have any updates, but I'd ask that if you are a senator or a member of exec that you please fill out that form. We're trying to put this, I don't know what to call it, campaign video together to remind our students what a spring break that is safe looks like, and we really appreciate all of your support, and we know that it's effectual when the people who elected you see you putting out a message like this. That's all.
Hey y'all. So Student Wellness is sharing safe spring break tips on their Instagram at BeWellUSD this week, so be sure to check them out and make spring break safe for everybody. They also want to remind folks that while San Diego County is in the red tier, our USD community is still in the purple tier, and Core Connect level party of 1 for residents and those visiting campus. So please be mindful of this guideline and do your part to help avoid another COVID surge related to the upcoming break. And Student Wellness is hoping to move to the red tier soon to offer more small outdoor programs and events on campus and need your help to get us there. Additionally, stay tuned on at BeWellUSD and at USD Women's Commons on Instagram for upcoming information in April as we recognize Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and they will be sharing helpful information and resources throughout the month and are hoping to have a couple programs as well.
Hi, everybody. I am continuing the work on that database with sustainable resources. So then if the SPJ bylaws are passed, we can have that for people to refer to, and it will streamline sustainable purchasing. Also really want to reiterate what the previous senators have said. Please have a safe spring break, wear a mask, and do something outside. We've been cooped up inside all the time, so might as well enjoy the outdoors.
Hi, everyone. Universal Design Ad Hoc Committee Coordinator here. As always, there's a USD accessibility concern or needed form that y'all can fill out for any accessibility concerns or any support you need around physical accessibility, academic accessibility, whatever it is. Also, the Disability and Learning Difference Resource Center, the DLDRC, got approved to have natural reader subscriptions for actually all USD students, but also specifically for students who are registered with the DLDRC, but any student can have the subscription. This website, it's a text-to-speech online app with natural voices that convert text to audio and MP3 files. It's for personal use and even like business and commercial use. I know I use it, it really helps with me. They're also able to, most of the time, be accurate in like transcribing like PDF or scanned documents into then a Word, and then they can do the text to speech from that like Word document. So I guess, they're trying their best with the resources they can, but they do have somewhat of a cap on the number of students, but it's still a good amount for the undergrad students to get this subscription. You really just are able to either email me or you can email directly the DLDRC. They are getting the details like finalized, I guess. And so, sorry, I don't have exactly how to do it right now, but any email, I'll put them in the chat, is fine to reach out to us. This is super helpful. And I know for me, I was like paying for the subscription out of my own pocket just because it really was helpful to my academics. But I advocated to the DLDRC to have us find a subscription for students. So super excited. I'm supposed to insert a flyer, but as you can see, it's not there yet. That's okay. We'll just go with email for now. And I'll also be mentioning this basically just throughout the rest of the semester. So then that you and any constituents, any students, anyone who needs this is able to get that account. And then also, as always, the Universal Design Ad Hoc Committee is working on grant ideas and new initiatives around funding for more accessibility, not only virtually, but also physically, since we might be going into a more hybrid model next year. But we're always open to ideas and any support that we can give y'all. So feel free to email me. Again, I'll put the emails in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next line item are reports from ASG Executive Board members.
Hello, everyone. So we've made it. Last Senate before spring break, so well earned. Everyone keep kicking butt over the course of this day and tomorrow. And if you have any work to do over spring break, we'll do it. So with regards to my updates, our exec board created a statement standing in solidarity with Asian American students on USD's campus and considering the USD law professor's comments inappropriate. I do have some updates with regards to that. So I got contacted by Stacy Williams, and I'm just going to read the email to y'all just so we're all in the same loop. So I'm just going to skip the first paragraph because it's introductory stuff. But a year ago, Pride Law alerted the law school of multiple transphobic blog posts by this professor, I believe is, I forgot his name, I believe Tom Smith, along with concerning comments surrounding China that he'd made in class at the start of the pandemic. The law school did not reply to the letter at that time. The faculty member posted Pride Law's letter on his blog, met with 2 students. It did not go well, with no expression of remorse, ownership for his impact, or changed behavior. APALSA also called out the faculty's members' transphobic content in their letter last week. In response, the dean wrote to the school addressing the anti-Asian rhetoric without any acknowledgement of the faculty members' transphobic or Pride Law's prior complaint. Despite solidarity between the student orgs, the wider conversation is contributing to trans erasure in a way that has been really painful to LGBTQ+ law students. Basically, just to fill in the holes, the professor made some comments that were extremely problematic with regards to transgender students on campus. So this is in addition to that same professor making problematic comments against the Asian American community. So that said, I have relayed all this information to Student Bar Association President Robert Ponce. So I have offered time to meet and schedule with him if need be, if he wants any information. He's been doing a lot of great work with regards to this. So yeah, Fantasy.
Thank you for addressing that to us. I just wanted to express a concern and a question. I also have heard of and have, I guess, experienced the encounter of like professors being problematic, and maybe it's not like super direct or it's not like super violent or like aggressive, but like it's still like uncomfortable and like harmful to maybe students directly affected or like just the whole classroom. And I've even had like students like maybe post about it, like, I don't know, kind of like express their feelings, and they don't know what to do about like going about that professor. Like, we don't know if we should just email the chair, if we should email them, if there's like a report that we can write up, like in any instance, like how do we address these concerns, I guess in a more like direct or like formal way, because I feel like if students don't know who to go to like report these professors, it kind of just goes under the rug. And like maybe that goes to show this past professor, like nothing was done about it because there wasn't like a formal process to it. So I don't know if you have the answer to that, or if you could just like look into ways that students can actively report or like, I don't know, make some type of complaint about professors being problematic in class, especially when like it's not always recorded or not always talked about, because it is a virtual setting and it's a little bit harder to understand those different aspects, but I hope that makes sense. I just noticed this is a bigger problem than this professor, but this definitely is a problem for this specific professor.
Yeah, no, and thank you for bringing that to my attention, Fantasy. I'm really glad you did, because after spring break, I'm going to be meeting with VP Vasquez, I believe, what is the week of April 5th. So the week of Easter Monday, I'll be meeting with VP Vasquez to relay that information to her to see how we could evoke change. But honestly, I couldn't tell you. Maybe some of the advisors on this call could answer that question better than I with regards to how this could be reported. Claire. Claire Gosson said, I believe you can report incidents by an employee here. So there's a link right there, Fantasy, on the USD website. So hopefully that helps out. But please, if anyone else has any other questions or comments, please feel free to email me with regards to that. Yes, and thank you, Ari, for including that in all the minutes. And then with regards to shower cards, I'm happy Claire is here, so I could feed her, fill her in on the updates with that. I've been working on drafts of those shower cards, so we're almost done with those. Jen and I were talking about possible implementation. We're not going to do so much shower hooks anymore. We're going to just do panels, and then we're going to work with people from the printing center to get those included into all the showers on campus by the fall. So hopefully that works out. And then we have our endowment meeting tomorrow. That's going to be forming up the application, going through the bylaws, making sure we let the student body be aware of the endowment. And yeah, so there's that. And then I also want to give a real quick shout out to Justice. She's been doing a lot of great work with the masks on campus. So a lot of the design, there's been a lot of hiccups with the vendors that we've been working with, and just getting the mask created. So I just want to give a shout out to Justice for all the work she's been putting in with that. So yeah, and then I'm done with my updates.
Hey everyone, before my updates, I just want to address the comment that was brought up, and huge thanks to Claire for bringing in the safety reporting link. Fantasy, if students are not comfortable with reporting or going through that specific process, by all means, going up the chain of faculty is very permitted. That's sort of the point of the department chairs being there. So if students are comfortable with sort of emailing faculty, then by all means, the department chairs of their department, and then, as I mentioned multiple times before, the associate deans and maybe even the deans, that's why there are these checks and balances, so that if there's any actions or behavior taken that go against the syllabi or make students feel uncomfortable, there's multiple avenues, just like the link that Claire shared, or also going up to a department chair or another resource within their school. I also want to take a moment to just acknowledge just that it's been a very rough couple of weeks. I know you said that, but yeah, I just wanted to create that space and just let everyone know that you all are in my thoughts and prayers. And with that, I'll go into my updates. It was mentioned before that San Diego is shifting to the red tier. However, as mentioned earlier, USD is still in the party of one status, despite the surrounding area being in red tier. So please be advised that we still have those policies to abide by. After spring break, there will be 1 week of locked in remote learning, regardless, just to sort of nail down if there have been any spikes in anything. So there will be extensive testing during the week following our spring break. It was mentioned at University Senate that Dr. Has a new committee, the President's Advisory Committee, and it's comprising of himself, Provost Baker, the University Senate, EC, the deans. The point of this is just to help Dr. Harris and advise him, because it is a much more nimble group, so they can put in actions more accurately, as well as planning for next fall, as well as this summer. And on that note, I do have a confirmation that with regards to the new calendar, the first session for these summer classes, the first session in June, will be locked in as remote. The point of this is just because the amount of time between now and the first session to put things in place, to try to have things in person, it's just not enough time with the policies and all the ambiguity. So as of right now, the first summer session of classes will be remote. And that is all I have.
Hi everyone. So for my updates, the first one is that we extended our TPB application so that it will close this Friday at 11:59. All the available all the regular positions are still up. And if you'd like to access read more about each position description, you can access it there on that link. Thank you to everyone who came to our NIL lecture last week. It was super amazing. So thank you all for joining us if you were able to stop by. And then as a final thing, I just want to encourage what's been encouraged throughout previous updates. Please have a safe spring break. Like, do what you need to do to relax and refresh to make it through the end of the semester, but please do it in a manner that'll keep yourself, your loved ones, and everyone safe around you. Something I should have included on there, and it's totally my fault, was just as a reminder that TBB is collaborating with Outdoor Adventures to help cover the cost of rentals so that you can still stay and do a lot of fun activities outside of just the rentals, always doing amazing activities that you can be doing to stay entertained and still do that chance to have that opportunity to unwind, stay safe, and still have a fun, memorable spring break. So please feel free to check out their Instagram. It's just USD_outdoor adventures, and I can tag it in there too in the the comments. But yes, just please stay safe, do what you need to do, and please encourage your constituents and your friends to also practice safe and healthy habits over the break.
Hi everyone. Before I get to my updates, I remember Maya saying earlier that the speaker that the person she wanted to speak during our agenda item for Haley has to leave at 1. So, and I realize it's getting very close to 1, and exec can be rather long-winded in our updates. So, I think Sarah, you can correct me if I'm wrong. We can move to postpone the rest of this agenda item, so the rest of our updates, until after the discussion in new business on Haley and where the grief counselor will be speaking. So I think it would require a 2/3 majority vote to suspend this item or postpone this item until after. That just requires a motion.
Alana.
I move to postpone exec board updates after the first line item of new business.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, having been seconded, to postpone the exec board updates after the first line item of new business. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Sabrina and Thomas, can you please cast your votes? Thank you, motion passes. Okay, so moving on to our first line item, honoring Haley Takeda. If you haven't already heard, a fellow student tragically passed last weekend. I personally didn't have the honor of knowing her, but Haley has been described as a bright light in so many people's lives, and executive branch has talked about how we can properly honor her and support her family during this time. So we will be sending her family flowers on behalf of the campus community, which I know that Haley greatly impacted during her time at USD. And our advisors are also following up with potentially bestowing Haley with an honorary degree. ASG can support Haley's friends and family during this time. Feel free to send me an email. And I know that some senators have already reached out about that, so thank you. And right now, Dr. Kevin Taji, let me know if I'm mispronouncing your name, will share some reminders about wellness resources for students impacted by grief. So Dr. Taji, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for being considerate, because yeah, I do have to go somewhere at 1. So hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Kevin Taji, and I'm one of the counselors at the Counseling Center. And first off, thanks for inviting me to come and speak. Obviously, I was asked to come in today because we lost a very special member of the USD community, and right now a lot of us are grieving. Grief can present itself in many different ways. It can look like sadness, anger. Maybe some of you are feeling numb right now or questioning if what happened really happened. But know this, however you're feeling right now in this moment is valid. And if you need support, the Counseling Center is here for you. For those of you that feel the need to talk to someone but might be hesitant to speak to a counselor, here's what the Counseling Center can potentially offer you. Number one is it's support in a confidential space. So we can be a listening ear, and you might have some thoughts and feelings that you might not feel comfortable sharing with your friends. The Counseling Center can be that confidential space that you might need to get those thoughts and feelings off your chest. Number two, the Counseling Center can help with processing the loss of Haley. We can share fond memories of Haley and explore the ways to honor her memory. The goal here isn't to forget Haley, it's just trying to move to a place of peace. I'd also like to take some time to talk about what to do with ourselves during this time of grieving. Whether you choose to seek counseling or not, now's the time to be patient with yourself, be kind with yourself, and most importantly, to take care of yourself. Sometimes when we feel down, when we're grieving, when we feel depressed, we kind of get this heaviness on our chest. And that weight on our chest can sometimes speak to us, almost like this super convincing voice. It might tell us to stay in bed, to stay inside, to skip a meal, to skip class, to skip your workout, or to isolate. And at the time, it feels like this voice is the only thing that makes sense. Like it's the only thing that'll make us feel better. But that heaviness we feel on our chest, that voice of depression, it's a liar. It's not going to tell us the things that we need to hear or the things that we need to do. It's going to tell us the opposite. So we need to challenge that voice. Don't get me wrong, a lot of us are grieving right now and we're allowed to have off days. We're allowed to not feel like ourselves. Like I said before, be patient with yourself, be kind with yourself, but we can't forget that we need to take care of ourselves during this time as well. So you need to challenge that weight that you feel on your chest and challenge that voice. So that means getting out of bed, going outside, going on a walk, making yourself eat even if you don't feel hungry, go to your classes, get your workout in, reach out to your friends and check on them. Or be with your friends virtually or in a safe manner and surround yourself with company at this time. Lean on them and let them lean on you. Now's the time to take care of one another. If you are interested in counseling, please reach out to us. You can do that in a few different ways. You can either email me and I can find you an appointment time with one of our counselors, or you can give us a call at 619-260-4655. That number is a 24/7 number, by the way. If you call during business hours, what will happen is one of our front desk administrators will pick up the phone and they'll be able to schedule you, and they can even schedule you that day. If you call after hours, what happens is it'll go straight to voicemail, but it'll prompt you. It'll say, if you'd like to speak to a licensed clinician, press 1 now. You press 1, within 2 minutes, you'll be speaking to a licensed clinician available by phone 24/7. So once again, thanks for giving me the time to come in here and speak to you all. No one should be going through this alone. So please reach out to us if you need us. Thank you.
Angelo?
So I just had questions about like the counseling services. Like to my understanding, counseling services aren't offered like over breaks, like if you're not taking intercession classes. So like, so come Friday, does that mean, like, what does that mean for counseling services?
That's a really great question. During things like summer and intercession is typically when there's some insurance issues with seeing students. But during spring break, we're still in the process of school. There's no issues. So yeah, absolutely. If you needed someone to talk to during spring break, come in during spring break.
Angelo?
And then I just have questions like with limitations to for like students who are out of state and things like that, given that we're in a remote learning setting.
Yeah, that's a really great question. Yeah, so technically, due to our licensure, we're only allowed to see students that are inside the state of California, unless it's like an urgent call. Now, what's urgent is relatively subjective. So if you call and you say, hey, I need to talk to someone today, I'm feeling overwhelmed, we don't turn any students away.
Angela?
Yeah, and I guess my last question, like, are these policies just more like internal memos between counseling services? Are they like listed anywhere that students could see?
That's a great question. It might be on our website, but if you do have like further questions about specific things, feel free to reach out to me and I'm happy to answer them on like an individual basis.
Angela?
My bad, I meant to take it down.
No problem. Thank you so much, Dr. Taji, for speaking with us today.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Before we move on, I wanted to have a few moments of silence in honor of Haley. So please do whatever you need to do in these couple of moments, whether that be turning off your camera, saying a prayer, or just sending healing thoughts to her friends and family. I'll just be having a couple moments of silence right now to hold that space. Thank you, everyone. My inbox is always open if you want to talk. It doesn't have to be Senate related, just so you know. Feel free to shoot me an email or a private message or anything like that. I'm always available to talk, and I know our advisors are too. And I hope you take use of the resources that USD has to offer. Thank you, Lauren, for putting that in the chat. Moving on to our next item, which would be back to the executive board updates. So Eniya, Eniya.
All right, so my updates are pretty similar to what I've been saying the past few weeks, but regarding elections and appointments, the election application officially closed the last time yesterday at noon. However, the application for joining TPB is still open until Friday, and for joining judicial and exec is open until April. I want to say April 15th, but you can check our website to make sure I'm right on that. So yeah, continue to spread the word, and voting will be happening April 15th and 16th. And a debate will be happening on April 14th. It's scheduled for Wednesday, April 14th from 1 to 2 as of right now. I don't think the time will change, but possibly it could. So we're looking for a moderator / multiple moderators. Anyone in ASG, as long as you're available from 1 to 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you could please either private message me right now, or you can email me if you would like. If you're interested, just let me know. It's only an hour of your time. And then lastly, as just kind of a look to the rest of the semester. So as Lana mentioned earlier, the student org committee bylaws should be coming sometime after spring break. I'm going to guess 3 weeks after spring break, but I don't know. But yeah, look for those. As Maya mentioned earlier, the judicial bylaws are coming. They're very, very close to being done. But again, they're rather long. So I'm going to email them to you as soon as I have the final draft. So please take the time to look over them. But I will also be going through them in Senate. And lastly, for Constitution edits, as I've mentioned, I've been gathering for the last year or so. People suggested edits to this current Constitution. And so the judicial branch looked over it last Thursday, and just to make sure all those changes were possible, and it seems that they are. So yeah, the biggest change is the addition of a TPB article, because they're not technically mentioned in our Constitution for some reason. But yeah, if you have any ideas that you haven't sent to me yet, please feel free to email me at asgchiefjustice@sandiego.edu. And that's all.
Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. I don't have any updates for me this week, but I hope everyone have an amazing spring break. And yeah, thank you.
Alrighty, hello everyone. Happy Thursday. I hope you all are having a wonderful week. So just a reminder that the giveaway on the ASG application TikTok on our Instagram ends today. So if you haven't already, tag 3 friends, and then we'll get those giveaway winners picked out. And also just wanted to say thank you all for sharing our content. It really means a lot, especially during these situations and circumstances. We really push for that message to be spread. So thank you again. And also our appointed application is open still. So please feel free to share that content and go on TBB's page and share their application content as well. We have more day in the life TikToks for appointed positions coming up soon. And we're also going to extend it after the election hiring season, just because there's been a lot of interest in senators kind of sharing their day in the life. So if you want to continue with it and you decided you want to also share yours, please feel free to private message me or just email me. I'll put my email in the link in the chat soon. Sorry about that. And then again, thank you for picking up your sweatshirts yesterday. If you haven't already, please send me an email so we can figure out a way to accommodate that. And then from the marketing committee, again, friendly reminder for any marketing requests. And we do have some more content coming up. So thank you to those who did send in their requests. We're going to be looking at some website edits from now on. So if you have any suggestions for changes, I encourage you all to take a look at the website, see if there's anything that you would think would be appropriate to add or would be useful for students to know, especially during this remote situation. And I don't know if you all remember, but from last semester, we worked on an ASG update survey to send out to the student body just to get more of an idea on how students prefer to get their updates from ASG. We want to be more transparent, of course, and provide more avenues. So we want to figure out what is the effective way to go about that. And that will be going live after spring break. And it'll be going through the Instagram and Blue Buzz. If there's other avenues that you think would be appropriate to send the survey out, please let me know. And yeah, please also fill out that survey. We're going to have a $25 gift card giveaway. And that would be really helpful for not only, for the rest of the semester, but for the upcoming years as well. And yeah, I hope you all have a safe spring break and please take care of yourself. You deserve it so much. So yeah, thank you.
How's it going, everybody? So as already mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, members of the public, please put your email into the chat so I can give you those Grubhub credits. And I'm actually going to give everyone the Grubhub credits right after this meeting ends. And so if you planned on using the credits as early as today and you don't see those credits in your account by the evening time, please immediately contact me, and it's a really quick fix to get you those credits. And I also want to thank everyone for filling out the Google poll that I sent out. I realize that there are a few people who haven't filled it out yet. So if you've forgotten or you just, you're busy, I understand we're all busy in this time. I ask that you please, carve out a few minutes to do that survey by this weekend, just so that I can get this event on everyone's calendar for the end of the year. So that's it for me, and I hope everyone has a fun and safe spring break. Thank you.
Next item under new business is a presentation on Finance Committee bylaw amendments. Eniya, the floor is yours.
Can I share my screen, please? Thank you. So just as a introduction, the amendments we made were kind of in two general categories. One being clarification of like really confusing sentences or sentences that weren't quite accurate to how we actually run. And the second being the addition of a section, or I guess sections, about sustainable purchasing guidelines that Madeline has been talking about last semester and this semester. So I'm just going to go through the changes. Some will be very brief explanations, but so for this one, there was just a lack of clarity. I think the wording of our definition, or the definition of the Finance Committee, was a little confusing and a little, I guess, inaccurate and not comprehensive enough. So we made a few changes, which you can read here. But I should say for the clarification changes, we didn't change really the meaning of things. So they weren't necessarily substantive in that we were rehauling the Finance Committee. It really was just clarifying the statements, not adding anything new to what was previously approved however many years ago. Again, another clarification changes regarding role of the chairperson and how they establish rules of the Finance Committee. This one was to clarify, to standardize voting language. And I believe this next one as well. We use language like simple majority, 2/3 majority, 3/4. We don't use simple, super, and supra majority. So a lot of these changes that I think I'm about to scroll through are just changing that language to standardize it across all of our bylaws. This is just, again, clarification because it's rather useless language to say non-regular semesters when you can just say intersession and summer. This one is the really important one for sustainability. The sustainability amendment is technically in two parts. So the first part says that the speaker or their designee, so presumably they would assign this to the sustainability coordinator to help alongside an ASG advisor and the finance chair. They would help in forming the sustainable purchasing guidelines at the end of every academic year for the year following. So I guess we're kind of doing that now. Madeline is trying to put together sustainable purchasing guidelines right now for next school year. And those guidelines can, of course, be amended by the Finance Committee with a 2/3 vote if we find that something could be better. And then the second part of the sustainable purchasing guideline amendment is this statement. This statement, it's duplicated across the article for exec and TPB, as well as an article for ASG or USD centers that ASG funds. So it's the same exact thing. So I'm only going to go through one of them. And it basically says that every purchase made with ASG funds should be in accordance with these guidelines. However, exceptions can be made if either it's not feasible to go with the sustainable option because it's too expensive and it would be poor use of student funds, or if it's just not available and it's either following the guidelines would either be getting something or just not getting it instead of just going with the less sustainable option. And that just those decisions on the exceptions would be made by the budget controller, finance chair, and an advisor. So that's the same thing down here. And then this is again just another clarification change because this sentence made no sense before, but it should now. And then this is just really last minute, small changes. One, we restructured the order of 3, 4, 5 of the amendments, the order of how you're supposed to go about amending these bylaws because they were out of order and made literally no sense. And then we changed secretary to chief of staff because we don't have a secretary in ASG. Are there any questions about anything I said here? Like me to elaborate on something else?
Madeline?
Just to confirm, in section 6, where it says that the sustainable purchasing guidelines will be established at the end of every academic year, we can just revise the ones we already have or make edits.
Yes. Yeah, you don't have to start from scratch every year. Any other questions or motions regarding these amendments?
Lauren?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for all your hard work on amending these bylaws. I know it's really tedious work. And second of all, I move to approve all the corrections and amendments to the Finance Committee bylaws.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, have been seconded to approve the amendments to the Finance Committee bylaws. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Can AJ's proxy please cast your vote? Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nat. Alaire, is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah.
Do you have a comment?
Sorry, I didn't lower it.
Oh, no problem. Okay. Next item under new business is a discussion of President Harris's Senate visit. So just to reiterate what's in my email, President Harris is able to attend Senate April 29th, and he can stay until 12:45 or 1 p.m. if necessary. But they need like topics to talk about 10 days in advance before the visit. And I know that we don't have Senate next week. So I would like to hear from senators, and you can also have time to ask your constituents what they want to hear. So whether that's posting on your Instagram or emailing constituents or going to GBM's meetings, something like that. But does anyone have any topics or questions for President Harris to address when he attends Senate? Ari?
I would definitely say the return, like with us returning to school in the fall time, or just a little bit if they have any more news, would be good. That's another one I think is important. The second one is possibly having a discussion with him in regards to the law professor. I feel like would be also good, just in terms of that and where that's going to be going, or what is the process to hold the professor accountable. Let's see. Those are my two main ideas as of right now. So yeah.
Thank you, Ari. Sabrina?
Could he also address like ways that the university has worked on being more diverse and inclusive? Because I remember we had, I forget the name of the new chair that they hired. I just want an update about what kind of has been going on since that meeting that they came to Senate. And then if there has been any like more scholarships created for our Black students, or what the retention rates have looked like from last semester or like last year. I think for our BIPOC students would be important for him to touch on, as well as like the fact that USD is potentially going to become a Hispanic. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the phrase, but like a college that has a larger Latinx or Hispanic population on it. I think he should talk to that too and talk about how he plans to support students, or if he's not sure how to support students, like, is he going to create like spaces where students can speak up and, share their ideas?
Thank you, Sabrina. I will say that Dr. Miller, who is the diversity, inclusion, and equity chair that came to Senate before, has been invited back to provide any more updates and talk about how he and his position is supporting the AAPI community on campus and in Linda Vista. But he's a very busy man, so we're trying to work out a time that he's free during Senate. But that is in the works, so thank you. Angelo?
Is this the first time that President Harris is coming to Senate this year?
Yes, this year.
So the last time was when, like last school year?
I think the last time he spoke was when he came to Senate, when he announced.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess like some questions, like kind of like I feel like a lot of the COVID response teams and the groups that they've gone together don't really have students on them. I don't know if anyone else feels that way. Maybe I'm just not aware of the student ones, but I think kind of how student input and how these policies are affecting students are being understood with like minimal students on these COVID committees, and then kind of just how the university is gauging the effectiveness of like their policies and what they're doing and is it working, and kind of what that feedback loop looks like. So of as far as implementing the policies that they have and gauging those and measuring those, kind of just if he could go into how that's working with COVID and with school, like in the fall, like is it going to be online, is it going to be remote, what and how are they like worked through these issues that they know of remote learning, if it's going to be remote again in the fall. So kind of just questions about that.
Thank you, Angelo. Ari?
Another thing we could discuss is possibly like tuition reductions. A lot of my peers, from what they've told me, have been asking me if we know anything about tuition reductions, or if tuition is going to continue to increase with the pandemic still going on, especially how that's going to occur with the return in the fall. So that's another thing that's a good question. Possibly maybe if there are more scholarship opportunities, as a previous senator had mentioned, for BIPOC students as well, low income and transfer students, and how that's going as well. So yeah, excuse me.
Thank you, Ari. Does anyone else have any other suggestions? If you think of anything, feel free to send me a PM or email me. So we can move on to our next agenda item, which is a discussion of an extended pass-fail resolution. So Danny, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Could I share my screen really quick? Okay, hi everyone. So this is a working document that of the pass-fail resolution that myself and the academics committee have been working on. It is an extended pass-fail draft, so it's not going to go up to vote today. I was just hoping to get some feedback since the goal is to have a final draft presented and ready to be voted on for next Senate. I believe Maya put the link in the chat for everyone to look at, and I will also scroll through it for everyone to read if everyone could just take a moment to look it over. So does anyone have any like comments, suggestions, concerns, or questions?
Lauren?
Yeah, I would suggest adding something in one of the whereas or even a new whereas about students that are taking their remote classes out of state, especially based on the fact that counseling services at USD aren't offered out of state unless it's an emergency. I know like I had to find new counseling when I came home because my counselor at USD can't practice out of state. And maybe something about time zone changes. I know like I had to move my schedule around personally because my classes ended up being like 8:30 to 11:30 p.m. at night. So yeah, just 2 suggestions.
Madeline?
In addition, I think you might want to address the fact that the GPA was higher. Personally, I think it could also be because cheating, hybrid learning, or not hybrid, online learning makes it a lot easier to cheat, look up answers, find workarounds. So that could have led to the higher GPA. And then I also had a question. I was wondering at the bottom where it was talking about like, so are students going to be able to like decide pass fail without consulting an advisor?
That's actually a really good point that I hadn't even thought about. But I think I'm gonna look into that and add that. Thank you. It's actually a really good suggestion.
Angelo?
I don't know if it was in there, but it might be helpful to include like how accommodations haven't been met and for students who have them like registered. And then also just like as far as I don't know if anything's in there as far as like the training that professors have had, like I don't think there's been any like paid training on their half for them to like learn Zoom, and they're new at Zoom, so I don't know how the expectation would be that they'd be able to continue the teaching that they've always been able to do, as you know, because it would have been new for them. So that was my thought.
Thank you. Yeah.
Ari?
I think just kind of echoing what a previous senator had mentioned about time zones. We could also mention like with international students that are outside the country. So that's another thing. That's one thing we could mention as well.
Madeline?
I just wanted to clarify what I was saying. I don't necessarily promote not meeting with an advisor before you decide to take a pass-fail class, just because I think maybe the advisor has some knowledge on how that might affect graduate school or applying for jobs. Just wanted to put that out there.
Angelo?
I'm not 100% sure if like pass fail interferes with financial aid like requirements and qualifications that people have to meet. But if it does, then I think maybe that should be addressed.
Does anyone else have any comments, questions, concerns for Danny? No? Okay. Thank you, Danny. Okay, moving on to final business and hearing of the public. At this time, any senator may take from the table any motion previously laid on the table in the meeting the week before or present urgent business. Any member of the public may voice any concerns to the assembly on non-agenda items. Lauren?
I would just like to reiterate in the form that me and my committee dropped earlier that you can even write out what a safe spring break looks like for you, and you don't necessarily have to record a video. We'd appreciate seeing people's faces and getting that out there for your constituents, but even if you just have something to write that we can incorporate, that would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Lauren. Catherine?
I'm getting the link together to put in the chat, but I just wanted to mention again about the library's Diversity and Inclusion Committee LibGuide that we've put together. I'm just grabbing the link to put in the chat, but we are working on our statement in solidarity with the other statements that have come out about the AAPI violence. We've been taking a little bit longer because the committee's been looking at action items that the library can do to hold ourselves accountable and support underrepresented groups on campus, not just AAPI, but everyone. And so the LibGuide is a work in progress, but we are also opening it up to student voices, and we'd like to find a way to uplift student voices. We have 2 forms that are on there. Let me just get the link so I can show you all. 1 second. But basically, through the guide, you'll be able to reach out to us and share your experiences on campus, your about your academic work or your activism work, whether it's on campus or in the greater community in San Diego or elsewhere. And then also if you're reading anything or you come across a really cool article that you think that we should share widely with the USD community, you can do that as well through the form. And let me just open the chat here. I got the link. So there's the link to the guide. And again, it's a living resource, so we're going to be constantly updating it. We haven't yet added tabs for Native American or non-white, Hispanic, Latinx folks on there, but it's a work in progress. And then on the home page, if you look in the lower right corner, you'll see a little box that says, let us know what you think. And the first one is just for a quick reference, a quick form to send us like articles, books. If you're listening to any podcasts that you want to highlight, you see a cool YouTube video, something like that, you can put that in there. And we'll highlight those on the guide and update that regularly. And then the second form is where you can share about your experiences on campus. We are collecting some demographic data just so we know which tab on the LibGuide the information would best be served, but you can fill the form out anonymously. So we don't have to attach your name. You don't have to out yourself in that way. You can just say, please keep me anonymous. Let us know what your project is or what your academic work is. And if you ever have any questions or thoughts, or you see something on the guide that isn't quite right or that we could improve, make better, you can always reach out to the committee members, myself, and then Alejandra Nan is our chairperson, but we're all listed on the main page as well. So you can reach out to any one of us, or again, fill out the form anonymously. And we will be releasing our statement on our Instagram and other social media platforms, as well as sending an all campus-wide email, and that'll link to a lot of our resources as well. And if you have any questions for me right now, I'm happy to field those. Otherwise, you can wait until the statement comes out, or after you've had a chance to look at the LibGuide.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Angelo?
Yeah, I kind of just wanted to bring up like a concern I had just with, I think it's really great that the counselor came and talked about grief services and stuff, but I feel like they're not available to the whole students. It's not being communicated very well. Their policies and their rules of how that works is not published anywhere, and because I've looked for it before, and I think we've been in this pandemic for a year, and students have been sent home, you know what I mean, not on campus for a year, and we still don't have that issue solved. And it's, they say it's liability, but I don't know. And I just think that for students to not have access to all of these and then it not be communicated clearly is kind of an issue. And I don't know if anyone else feels that way about that.
Thank you, Angelo. I think that's definitely something that those interested can maybe reach out to our health and wellness coordinator, Alexa, to get in communication with the center to talk about like better communication of the resources that USD has. And I'm open to, they're supposed to talk at a future Senate meeting as well. So I think that's also something that a dialogue could be had then. Lauren?
Yeah, I'm going to be touching on something else, but I wanted to add to that and say that I don't think it's necessarily a liability issue. I think that they hire counselors who are licensed in the state of California because, at least in my experience, counselors aren't licensed in like all states. So it's like very expensive, but that is definitely something that can be taken up. And then we talked last week about a comment from a member of the public, and I reached out to that member of the public. It was about the like outdoor management, and she lived in Saps, and that is where she was taking her exam, and that is where the commotion was occurring.
Thank you so much for the update, Lauren. Thomas?
Yeah, hi everyone. I wanted to share a link that was sent to me by the International Business Department. It's a open board where students and other members of the University of San Diego are sharing memories and words of encouragement to Haley's family. So if you guys could share that with your constituents, that would be great. Or if you have something to post on the board, that would be great as well.
Thank you, Thomas. We do have a comment on the Google form. So this is from a Sophia Wright. She said, as a freshman this year, I feel like I have really missed out on a lot of the first year experience. I was hoping there are some plans to allow sophomores next year to experience some semblance of what we would have last semester. I'm also worried about my ability to navigate campus living next semester. So I hope there is a plan to help sophomores navigate life at USD, as for many of us, it will be our first experience with USD in person. Joey?
I was just wondering if you could send me a screenshot of that, please, and I will relay that to VP Vasquez. Even though she's going to be leaving the semester, I'm sure she could relay that to the rest of the student affairs team. So yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Will do. Before we adjourn for today, I also wanted to say that the Ethnic Studies Department is having a forum on Asian hate, and that's supposed to go until 2. So if we do end Senate a bit early today, I encourage all senators to attend the last couple of minutes of it, and I'll send the link in the chat. And I'll be there, and if I see you there, then that will count towards office hours as well. Madeline?
When did you say that was again?
It's right now, it's at 12 to 2.
Oh, sorry.
So it's the last tail end, but I'll be attending. Sabrina?
I just had a really quick question about the like statement that exec put out where you guys said that you encourage the professor to take ownership, listen, learn, and do better. Like given what I've just like learned, and then given what the APASLA's first call to action was the investigation and then termination of the professor, are you guys considering revising that to something a bit more like in line with what they're requesting in their demands, or are you guys going to keep it as is?
Joey?
I'm sorry, Sabrina, could you, or earlier Senator, can you possibly restate what you just said?
Yeah. So basically in your statement, our statement, we say we want the professor to take ownership, listen, learn, and do better. But the first call to action from the APASLA was like the investigation and termination of this professor. So it just doesn't quite seem in line with what their call to action, what they want. So I was wondering if, given like the new information that we just had heard earlier about the same professor, if this statement was going to be edited at all, or if this is just how it was going to stay.
I personally can only speak for myself, and I'll let you talk as well, Joey. I don't know anyone exec, but I think that somebody can listen, learn, and do better while also not causing harm actively being a member at USD. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but I don't think that anything in the statement that exec put out is going against what the other statement says. I think that all of that learning can be done while not causing harm to the students on campus by not being part of the campus community. Joey?
Thank you, Maya, for that. And I really have nothing else to add. I 120% agree with what Maya said. And yeah, I mean, we're going to continue, or I'll continue to be in touch with Robert, again, president of the Student Bar Association, with any updates with regards to the university investigation. But yeah, I don't think that the two things are mutually, well, not that I don't think, they aren't mutually exclusive.
Sabrina?
Can we just write like a little tiny piece of what you said on our Instagram post or something, so like people know it's not mutually exclusive, like just so it's communicated directly? Does that make sense? Just because I think people could misinterpret it, and I have heard of people misinterpreting it, and that's the only reason I bring it up, is I just want to make sure our intentions are communicated effectively. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabrina. Thanks for letting us know. Exec will talk about it afterwards and how to make the message more clear. Because we want to make sure that everyone knows unequivocally where exec stands on the matter. Angela, did you have your hand raised?
No, my bad.
Lauren?
This is more of just a basic logistical question, but do we have 6 or 8 office hours a week? I'm sorry, I forget.
Senators have 6 office hours a week.
Okay, that's what I thought. Just wanted to double check. Thank you.
Lauren?
Also, if we're setting office hours to go on the website, do we still need to fill out the senator office hour Google sheet?
No, if you could just send what hours you will be having your set office hours every week to Ari, and then we can put that on the website so you won't have to be logging the office hours.
Okay, thank you.
Angelo?
Oh, so this goes back to a previous question because I wanted to look first that another senator brought up, but in regards to the statement, that it doesn't like explicitly say to like resign or anything to what I'm reading, right? But it's saying it's not mutually exclusive. That's implied.
Joey?
So to the previous senator's statement, you're saying that it is implied that we do not want the professor to resign?
No, I'm just saying it doesn't say it.
Joey?
Thank you, Maya. You are right. It does not explicitly say it in the statement.
Angelo?
No, yeah, I kind of just was wondering because I thought that it would have explicitly stated that because, I mean, I don't think we can just assume that, right? Like, if we're gonna denounce something, we should denounce it and not like let it be implied.
We've reached our allotted time for this agenda item. If anyone would like to make a motion to extend the time, they could do that now.
Ari?
Am I allowed to motion? I motion. Oh, okay. I motion to extend the discussion for 5 minutes.
You move to extend it for 5 minutes?
Mhm.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, having been seconded to extend this discussion by 5 minutes. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Motion passes. Joey, I had you next up on stack.
Thank you, Maya. So I would just say to the previous senator that our statement was encouraging the professor to evaluate their own actions. And the other statement is encouraging the school to act in a certain manner. They address different things and they don't go against each other. So exec can reconvene with the new information. And we trust for Robbie to call for certain actions against the law school as Student Bar Association president, whatever he sees fit. So that's what I have to say.
Lauren?
I know I'm beating a dead horse a little bit, but I'd like to remind everyone, first of all, to please have a safe spring break. I know I want to be, I think trajectory right now is going to affect a lot of the things moving forward. And I care about all of you and want you to make safe and happy choices. And that's that. But also, if there's no other discussion, I'd like to move to adjourn today's meeting.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, having been seconded to adjourn today's meeting. Is there any further discussion? If not, please cast your votes. Motion passes. This meeting has been adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a safe spring break.